Hi everybody, this is Mike Lynch from Channel 5. I'm here at Fenway Park, and I always run into Carl Pratt when I'm down here, or at the Garden, or at Gillette, or at some high school game, and I just want to send out my best wishes to Carl. 25 years as host of the Video Sports Page and counting. Here's to 25 more, Carl. Congratulations. Keep it going.
Hi there, everybody, and welcome once again to the Video Sports Page. I'm your host and producer, Carl Pratt. Welcome to edition number 1204. During this next half hour, this is how we'll share the time with you. We have an opportunity to replay a couple of interviews from Fenway Park that I picked up recently. One is with a Red Sox rookie infielder. The other's with Chris Rose. Chris is part of Major League Baseball, is part of their baseball network. From the local front, we'll show you some Cal Ripken baseball action in full swing these days down at the Walter B. Haskell Little League field in Plymouth. We'll update you on a number of different activities in our viewing area as far as high school sports are concerned. And we'll even show you some highlights of boys varsity lacrosse, where earlier this week at Romano Field in Plymouth, the Silver Lake Lakers posted an overtime victory over the Plymouth North Eagles. But let's begin our program, still talking about Silver Lake, but switching over to girls softball. What a big victory last Friday by Silver Lake as they knocked off Bridgewater Raynham in a real big matchup. And this was a non-league matchup, but it was two of the powerhouses in the South Shore. Silver Lake ends up winning it by 1 run. A terrific victory for Silver Lake, who vaulted themselves into the number 1 rating previously held by Bridgewater Raynham. Now, since that point, Silver Lake has posted some other impressive victories. Silver Lake came up with a 3-0 victory against Quincy. In that game, sophomore pitcher Maddie Barone had a 15-strikeout performance, and she also hit a home run in that game. And earlier this week, Silver Lake knocked off Hanover. The final count in that game was 7-1. Hanover's having a pretty decent season, but Maddie Barone on the mound for Silver Lake, almost an automatic victory. She tossed a one-hitter there and struck out 10 along the way. Silver Lake is now 10-0 on the season. Terrific season working for first-year head coach Tony Pina's team. The Plymouth North Eagles defeated Falmouth this week, got back to their winning ways. Final count there was 9-6. Tara Brennan was the winning pitcher for the Eagles, who are now 6-2 on the season and 4-1 in Atlantic Coast League softball. The Plymouth North Eagles, as far as boys tennis is concerned, rolling right along. They are defending Atlantic Coast League champions, and the Eagles knocked off Falmouth this week, 5-love. That puts their record now at 5-1 in the Atlantic Coast League, 8-1 overall. As far as Plymouth North is concerned, they were led in this matchup against Falmouth by their singles players. Number 1, Matt Doherty. Number 2, Dan Taco. And number 3, Nathan Schneider. Well, let's take this opportunity to get away from high school sports for a few moments. Let's replay the interview I had early last week with Chris Rose from MLB Network. Okay, let's continue with this week's edition of the Video Sports Page. I've got a very special guest. Several years ago, I used to sit at home and couldn't wait for this show to come on TV, the best damn sports show. But now he's with Major League Baseball. This is Chris Rose, and you've got the type of job I'd like to have. You look like you have a lot of fun.
Well, with Millar, as everybody out here in Boston knows, it's pretty easy to have fun. Basically, when he opens his mouth, you're going to enjoy whatever comes out of it, usually. You don't always understand it, but you're going to enjoy it.
Let's talk about it, Chris. Are you living a dream?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm still a huge sports fan. Even at 43, it's the number one thing that really kind of ticks me off about this industry is that people expect you when you are working in television that you lose your rooting interest. Well, I wanted to get into sports because I love my teams. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and believe me, people, it is not easy being a fan of your Cleveland sports teams. But why not? I get to enjoy it. The people at MLB Network let me kind of show my Cleveland pride on the air. And the other 29 teams get it. They kind of get the whole idea that I'm an Indians fan, I'm a Browns fan, I'm a Cavs fan. And, to be able to do this and still be a fan, it's pretty good.
Pretty cool. Let me ask you to back up the clock. When you first broke into this industry, who was that first bigger-than-life figure that maybe you shared the microphone with or you were in the same room with and you thought, wow, I'm in the same room with so-and-so?
Probably the first time I felt it was when I was actually working in Reno, Nevada, of all places. That was my first on-air gig. And then I started having auditions at age 25. I had one down at CNN where I eventually worked. But I also went up to ESPN, and I grew up on ESPN, essentially. And I remember doing my audition, and I'm sitting in Keith Olbermann's chair, and I was like, I had to, like, compose myself for a second. I was thinking, what in the hell am I doing here? And probably some people were thinking the same thing at the time. But then when I got down to CNN and I started working with the people down there, whether it was Vince Cellini or Nick Charles or Bob Lorenz, and people I had grown up watching, Fred Hickman, Jim Huber, guys like that, it was great. And it even continued a few years ago when I met Bob Costas for the first time. Our paths finally crossed. He said hello. He said some complimentary things to me, and I was like, whoa. You know, it's kind of like baseball players. If it would be the equivalent of Derek Jeter, or if Big Papi came up to you and said, hey, you're doing a good job, and you're like taken back for a second. It's pretty cool.
Let me ask you, though, when you think about this and broadcasting and you get a chance to travel the world, do you sometimes pinch yourself, and I know that's a strong word, but if you're on a plane saying, you know what, I could be working in a food store stocking shelves, I could be writing copy for some newspaper, and I get to travel in some of the best facilities in the world.
Well, I think that anybody that's got a job that they're passionate about and they love, and they get compensated for, probably would feel the same way. I would hope they would. I don't take a day out here for granted because it's enjoyable. I mean, all my boys that I went to high school and college with still write me nasty emails when they see me at big events, and they're like, are you serious? Yeah. Are you serious that you get paid for that? And I understand it. I've never said, yeah, well, you know, that's just the way it is. Because I am fortunate. I'm lucky. I mean, I'm standing here on the dirt at Fenway Park. That doesn't suck.
No, I hear you. I'm with you. Chris Rose joining us this week on the Video Sports Page. And if you back up the clock several years now, he used to host a show called The Best Damn Sports Show. And I used to love that. And when I first got into it, I'm thinking, is this real? And then the next week, The Best Damn Sports Show. And the next day, and I got hooked on it with you and who's the tall guy there from
John Sally.
Yeah, John Sally.
Tom Arnold, John Kruk.
Yeah. And I'm watching that stuff and I'm saying, but how much fun was that?
Great. It was a great 8 years. The thing I loved about it was there was no blueprint for that. And it was the first time where athletes were kind of allowed to be themselves. The bosses weren't like, all right, we have to do this standard type of interview. And we've kind of carried that mantra onto the show I do with Kevin every day on Intentional Talk. I mean, as big a sports fan as we all might be, after a while asking a guy about a 3-2 slider that he threw or something like that, it's going to get old.
Right.
So we want to know the people that we cheer for or cheer against. I think it's always refreshing when I read something on Twitter that, hey, you know, I wasn't a big Joey Votto fan because I'm a Cardinals fan, but I watched the interview with him and I felt better about him. Like, that's good.
No,
that is a good thing. It's okay. You'll still want to boo Joey Votto if you're a Cardinals fan, but you'll have a better appreciation for maybe who he is and what makes him tick.
All right, so I want to back up the clock. At the beginning of our interview, my guest here, Chris Rose, says he's from Cleveland. He cheers for those fans. I got to ask you, big Joey Bell fan, you know what I'm saying, Albert Bell fan or not? How tough was he?
Well, I never had to cover him from a media standpoint. I merely had to root for him, so it was easy for me. But I actually still have a number 8 jersey hanging in my closet at home.
How about when Pedro pitched in relief in the playoff game?
That was crushing. That was crushing. And I remember talking to Pedro several years ago about it, and he laughs. He's like, they could not hit me. And I was like, yeah, I get it. I get it, because that was actually a crazy, crazy game where I think Troy O'Leary hit a huge grand slam off of Paul Shuey and just all sorts of crazy stuff. And then so Pedro, who was hurting at the time, comes out and just slams the door. And I was like, oh.
Nothing but change.
Unbelievable.
All right, before I let you sneak away, I'm going to invite you to my house for a cookout August. So put that in your
Very good.
calendar. But I got to ask you, with all the personalities you've met over the years, whether they're players or announcers or whatever, and you said, Carl, your friends and family are going to have fun with these 3 guys, who would you bring?
Well, I knew Strahan was going to be a TV superstar the minute we first interviewed him. The guy could talk about anything. So, but that was a no-brainer. Torrey Hunter, when he's done, is going to be unbelievable. I don't know what he wants to do. I mean, these guys make so much money, sometimes they just want to be people and not work in television. But I think you'll end up seeing him somewhere, and I hope it's with us. Listen, it's going to sound hokey, but I remember the first time I met Millar, it was 10 years ago, and he came on Best Damn, and I was like, whoa. So we stayed in contact over the years, and I was like, I wish these people in baseball would realize you really can't play very well so that they can make you retire so we can do something together. And so kind of living out that dream. It ain't bad.
There you go. 3 good choices. All right, my guest this week on the Video Sports Page, as you can tell from our graphic, Chris Rose. I first started following him with the Best Damn Sports Show. Love his MLB work, but certainly, as much as I enjoy that, I enjoyed sharing the microphone with you. We really appreciate your time.
Carl, my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We'll continue with more, so stay with us. All right, welcome back to our program, everybody. Once again, I'm your host, Carl Pratt. Tonight, edition number 1204. Let's talk about the Duxbury girls golf team. Duxbury defeated Nauset this week, 5-1, to push their impressive record to 7-0 on the season. Jaylee Jones, Katie Daly led the way for the Duxbury Green Dragons. Now let's drop down a few notches if we can. Action from the Walter B. Haskell Little League field earlier this week as the season is well underway. They call it Cal Ripken baseball these days as far as Plymouth is concerned. And there was a pretty good matchup between VFW and Garibaldi. And it was VFW that scored 4 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning to post a 7-6 victory to improve to 1-2 on the season. Garibaldi with the loss drops to 1-2 on the season. Now, as far as the winners are concerned, Eric Chase had the game-winning RBI. Eric Pantoni had a 2-run single to tie the baseball game up. Brian Potvin had a couple of base hits, as did Paul Torrey. So good efforts all the way around as far as VFW is concerned. Now, head coach Peruzzi, Larry Peruzzi, for Garibaldi was pleased with the efforts of many of his players as well, including his starting pitcher, Dan Sullivan. Dan gave that team a good shot in the arm, and in fact, his team was winning 6-3 at one point in this ball game. Christian Peruzzi played first base, had a strong game, especially on the defensive side. He chipped in with a couple of base hits, and Tristan Obelsang played a strong game in the infield for this team. Garibaldi now 1-2 on the season. All right, let's take this opportunity, pull out the videotape, and show you some of the highlights of that matchup between Garibaldi and VFW.
Garibaldi 4, Alex Peruzzi.
Good eye.
Number 12, Vogelson. Pistons. Vocal.
Thank you.
Tom, you're blocking all the good shots.
The batter, Sullivan. Dave Sullivan, number 7.
Okay, let's continue with this week's edition of the Video Sports Page. I'm pleased to be joined by Red Sox infielder Brock Holt. Let's talk about the Major Leagues. It's got to be a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, every kid dreams about being here. So to be able to be here and be productive for the first, few days that I've been up, it's been a blast. So hopefully we can keep it rolling.
All right, I'm not sure if our camera can pick it up all the way, but I'm not sure if I'm talking to Matt Damon or Brock Holt. How many times have you heard that?
I've heard it a lot over the past few days. It started, a few years back. My buddy from home told me I looked like him, and I never saw it. But as soon as he told me, it was like boom, 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 boom. Like I kept hearing it. So every time now I hear it, I send him a text and tell him, I got it from someone else.
There you go.
So,
and I got to ask you, I sound like I'm going to Disney World and asking for Mr. Disney, and you got the set of pipes I'd like to have. People really like to hear that deep, invigorating voice.
yeah, I don't know where it came from. It came on, pretty strong in high school, and it never left me. So I guess I kind of got the southern draw a little bit too, being from Texas. So I think if baseball doesn't work out, I'll end up doing something with my voice, talking, trying to do something.
There you go. Let's talk, if we can, how good baseball's been to you, even up to this point in your career.
This game is always giving back. So I've been fortunate enough to stay healthy, and I'm enjoying the game, and it's been so much fun. Learn something new every day. Something happens almost every day that you don't see. So I'm grateful for the ability that I've been given by the good Lord. So hopefully I like I said, just keep this thing going.
Who's that first bigger-than-life figure for you that maybe you used to see on the Game of the Week, or you used to see on ESPN or something, and all of a sudden you stepped on the field and you looked across and said, wow, I'm on the same field with so-and-so?
You get that almost every day, but you got to kind of try to put that in the back of your mind. Realize that you're here with the same guys and you're playing the same game. So, but I mean, looking across over there tonight, you got a guy like Derek Jeter. I think he's everyone's number one. I mean, he's been doing it for a long time. He's been doing it the right way for a long time. So, it's gonna be fun to play against him.
How cool is it to be part of video games, and whether it's brothers or nieces or nephews that have it, and they say, hey, Brock, we got you on the game here, and whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun. You grow up playing video games, and then to get one and have yourself on it, it's pretty neat. I got a text message from a family friend the other day, and he sent me a picture. He was playing the game, and he sent me a picture of myself. So then he sent me a video of himself playing as me. So I mean, it's pretty cool. I haven't played as myself yet, but I'm hoping to do that soon.
Let's talk about the Boston Red Sox and being part of this organization, and the fans are so close to you when you're playing. How unique, how much fun is that?
Blast. Playing here is everyone knows about Fenway Park. So to be able to be here and put on the Red Sox uniform and come out here and play is real special to everyone. It's not like any other place. So I'm just soaking it all in and enjoying it right now.
Obviously not blessed with a whole lot of size, but you're that perfect example, just like Dustin, that you don't have to be the biggest guy out there, but play with the biggest heart and you'll go places.
Absolutely. I've been a guy that's had to prove myself, every step of the way. Had a lot of people say, you can't do this, you can't do that, but just never listen and always try to prove people wrong. And up to this point, it's helped me out.
What about that feeling when they do call you and say, hey, send Holt up here, get Brad Holt, Brock Holt up here with this team? What's that like when you're making that trip up from Pawtucket or from some other area and you're thinking, wow, this is awesome?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Anytime you can come up and play in the major leagues, it's obviously every kid's dream. So to be able to do it, it's pretty special. It's a special feeling. Something I've got to experience a few times. Getting the call up from AAA. So first time ever though, I'll never forget that. So it's a very, very good feeling.
Yeah, but what's it like though when you did play and maybe your friend saw you on ESPN or something from across the country and they quickly send you a text or something and, oh, what was it like doing this or like doing that? And where you're so young, you're full of so much energy.
Yeah, almost all my friends from back home are watching the games. My family's watching the games, so I go in after every game and have a few text messages to reply to. But it's fun. It's fun for them just as much as it is for me. So to see their excitement, it's a lot of fun for me to see my family and my friends back home. So it's been a special time.
Before I let you sneak away, for some young kid watching my show and saying, look at Brock Holt's on with Carl and he's talking, what would you like people to know about you, the opportunity in life that you have to seize the moment if it's there?
Yeah, absolutely. Just never get too down. I've been beat up pretty good in this game, but you just got to stick with it. Keep playing hard, working hard, and good things will happen.
Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, Brock Holt joining us this week on the Video Sports Page. We'll continue with more, so stay with us.
I'm Kevin Millard from Major League Baseball Network. I want to congratulate my buddy Carl Pratt on 25 years doing the Video Sports Page. Thumbs up, Big Daddy.
Okay, before we close this week's edition of our program, let's give you an update on a few other teams in our viewing area. The Duxbury baseball team now 7-2 on the season. They'll be back in action on Friday at Hanover. In one of their recent games against North Quincy, the Green Dragons were victorious. Final count there 7-0. Cole Rowland had a terrific performance on the mound. He threw a 3-hitter and struck out 11 along the way. Meanwhile, the Plymouth North Eagles are now 6-4 on the season, following a whitewashing of Falmouth 12-2. Colin Nicholas had a home run in that game for head coach Dwayne Follett. Joey Walsh was strong at the plate, and Brian Christian was the winning pitcher once again for the Eagles, who have the same record as Plymouth South. And on Thursday night, the Eagles were scheduled to take on South, but with all the rain we got early on Thursday, they pushed that game back now to May the 23rd. Plymouth South head coach Pelia's team playing very good baseball these days after they get off to a struggling 2-4 start. They're on a roll now. Their record is 6-4. One of their most recent games, they were trailing 9-0 against Nauset, but came back very strong and posted an impressive 10-9 victory. Those should be two outstanding matchups this year between the Eagles and the Panthers. The Silver Lake baseball team continues to roll under the direction of Coach Tachi. A 4-1 victory this week against Hanover. Jason Jondro had a 10-strikeout performance. All right, Hanover on the season, 4-1 in the league, so it was a tough loss to take against Silver Lake. Adam Gay and Anthony Vedetto had strong games at the plate. Meanwhile, Silver Lake lost a tough one against Quincy. 8-4 was the final count. Silver Lake now 7-3 on the season. And how about the Sacred Heart softball team? What a terrific pitching performance they got from Lauren Melchionda. She had her third one-hitter of the season, and she struck out 18 along the way. Sacred Heart defeats Avon by a count of 10-1. Sacred Heart cruising on the season now, having an outstanding year playing in the Mayflower League. Well, that'll take care of this week's edition of the Video Sports Page, everybody. I've been your host, Carl Pratt. Health and wisdom from the Video Sports Page.